our warnings.
Sometimes they're mesmerizing too, and so just get out of that and get inside.
All right, Denise and Dennis are keeping us informed as we're
passing us notes in class.
UConn is warning all students on campus locations to seek shelter at this time. Again, UConn. I'm guessing this is the main campus at Storrs?
All the campuses.
All the campuses.
All the campuses.
Well, if you're in Western Connecticut, I hope you are, because it's raining to beat the band.
Yeah, you know, you got the Hartford campus, and of course, you know, Storrs. Right now, that particular storm is off to your north, but you have for the other storm to the north and west that's rapidly heading your way. So, excuse me, that's really, really good advice.
Let me get you some water.
Thanks, Scott. All right.
Okay, so we have, just to update you, we got a number of warnings. Most of the state is under a warning one way or another. You can see that warnings extend eastward all the way into New London County. Now, New London County is one part of the state that's least likely to get severe weather. However, these storms are moving so fast that the storms may not have time to degenerate or weaken before they get there.
Right.
So, you know, and as we saw earlier today, most of Connecticut is under either an enhanced or a moderate risk for severe weather, which is something we don't normally see. Let me show this to our viewers one more time, Mike, briefly. I know we want to stay focused in on the radar, but when you take a look at the information that comes from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, to see the enhanced, which is the orange, and then the sort of like the pinkish shade, which is moderate, you're not going to see that very often at all here in Connecticut. You know, once in a while you will. But it's not often. But all the conditions have come together to cause this severe weather event to become likely and widespread. And we've seen multiple tornado warnings as a result due to the ripe conditions that we have.
Granby is 1 1/4 inch size hail being reported in Granby.
Do you know when that was? Is that
was 4:52, so 3.5 minutes ago.
Okay, so in that storm now is working in through parts of East Granby and Suffield. Hale Street, South Grand Street's probably already seen it. Suffield Street's going to be next, Boston Neck Road, and then Route 159 and also Route 5 as you're across the river. You're going to get some hail pretty similar to that, I would think. Other areas that might get some pretty good hail, I would think, Bruce, is through these cells here. You're seeing in East Litchfield and Torrington, and then through Burlington and New Hartford as those move in towards areas just to the northwest of Hartford, the Farmington Valley. I think you might get some pretty big hail out of that.
Unionville, West Avon, Farmington itself. If you live in those towns, this storm is heading your way. I'm sure if you look off to the north and west, you're seeing some really, really awful looking clouds. So that's time to seek shelter.
And these are moving to generally the east at about 40 miles an hour or so. All right, so we'll do sort of a time stamp on these. You can see towns next to see a little after 5, Ellington, Plymouth, Windsor, South Windsor, Bristol, Stafford, Farmington, West Hartford. By 5:15, 5:30, you should see activity from this.
Very quick moving storms. It's unusual to see them moving this fast, but that's one reason why we have so many severe weather alerts going on and so many severe weather reports. Brookfield, well, you're getting, you know, some pretty good rains coming in there right now. You're taking a look at the velocity?
Just taking a look at the velocity to see if we see anything with the tornado-warned storm. The area that we're watching most closely is this little area here, which is sometimes shown a couplet. We call it a couplet, as you were explaining before, and that is one where you see the very bright reds and the bright greens together to indicate that there's some rotation somewhere in the storm, it looks like it's ebbing and flowing a little bit, but there's certainly a lot of velocity up high in the sky. You see all that bright green. There's wind up there. It's just, is it turning? And they go through their cycles. Sometimes it kind of weakens, and then you'll see it just all of a sudden within a few minutes form again.
Of course, it was really strong in eastern New York, too, and there's good reason to assume that that's going to maintain some strength as it makes its way into Connecticut. So, well, if you live in Southbury, look at how fast that storm is moving on in. Probably just looks like a line of black off to your west at the moment.
Okay,
these
guys,
storms
I'm getting
business.
a report in South Wilton, Connecticut. A tree on a car with people trapped on Route 300 near New Windsor. So this is in South Wilton, Connecticut, in Fairfield County. Once again, the reports of a tree on a car with people trapped inside.
Oh, you know, we've seen that happen so many times where, you know, trees fall on cars and people get hurt or even worse. So That's why you just don't want to be out on the roadways right now. There's Wilton right there. So,
you said what part of Wilton?
That is in
Route 300?
South Wilton, Route 300.
Okay.
It's near New Windsor.
Okay.
Near New Windsor, okay. And there's more moving in to that area as we speak.
There's something about that, too. This is like, you know, sometimes the wind rushes out ahead of the storm, too. And I don't know if that's the case in this situation, but, you know, sometimes you'll get some of those gusts that'll come out ahead, and it'll be so sudden that weaker trees and things like that, it just hits them right away with, you know, if it's from 0 to 40 miles an hour, let's say, just as an example, some of those weaker trees can come down, and some of those puffs of wind actually come out ahead of the precipitation, so it may not even be raining yet, and you get some
That's
of that
true.
wind.
Yeah, you get those pre-storm downbursts and all. So that's probably what's occurring there right now. Of course, right up there toward Reading is where you're in the thick of the storm, and into Bethel. Danbury, you're getting hit pretty hard, and right over toward Newtown. It has moved into Newtown. That area right there is where the tornado warning is still in effect. You know, we got that in Newtown, Southbury, Oxford. If I'm not mistaken, also Naugatuck.
Yeah,
Is it that,
you're right.
Yep, okay, so Prospect, let's see if you're definitely in a severe thunderstorm warning.
All right, and we've got,
Okay.
on the order of some of the other storms, I mean, one of the areas that's been really active is across northern Connecticut, and in Granby. There's a report of no power in the center of town at routes 20 and 202, and I would assume Route 10 is involved in that as well. I think Route 10 and 202 go together.
Let's go back into the Hartford area, Mike, and see what's going on, because
Okay.
this bad weather, you know, Futurecast had a pretty good handle on it. You know, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but it did say that the bad weather was going to start coming into Hartford around 5 to 5:30
Exactly.
this afternoon.
I said the time frame, you know, I said give me a little leeway here between the hours of about, you know, 3:30 and 4 until about 9 o'clock tonight. I said, but the main hours of the event were going to be between 5 and 7 o'clock this evening, and boy, that's really coming to fruition.
Well, let's see if I can get the Hartford iCam up and going here.
Yeah, I think Hartford
It's up.
camera.
Oh, there we go. There's the Hartford iCam.
Wow.
Okay. Yep. Coming in from the west and fast.
Yep. Gusty wind, heavy rain, large hail, all potential with these. We've seen that.
And it's not just Hartford we're talking about. It's Farmington, it's Manchester, it's Vernon, it's Ellington, it's Somers. This whole line is just going to cause a widespread swath of potentially damaging winds, and that's the big concern, is that this is a widespread event, not just an isolated event, but affecting most of the state with the potential for damaging winds.
But you can see those clouds where it's raining is to the left. It's really heavy rain because you can see those. It seems like the clouds going to the ground. It's actually most of that's rain. But then on the right you see sort of the cloud base. Lightning can come out of that cloud base on the right. So even though it's not raining at your house, we want to remind you again that you know, when you hear that rumble of thunder, especially if you're near the clouds are coming overhead, lightning is already a danger, especially on a day like today where the storms are so active, they're so strong, there's such strong updrafts. You get a lot more lightning with them, and lightning, you know, I've seen it where lightning will come out of a cloud and, you know, arc away from the storm.
You know, I did a story a couple of years ago on survivors, that, you know, people that survived lightning strikes.
It's
and
unbelievable.
It's not always good news by any means. There was a lobster fisherman from Greenwich, big burly guy who was disabled because of a lightning strike when he was working in a construction site. And it's really sad. So you don't want to put yourself in that kind of a situation. Again, it's not likely to happen, but it can happen, and especially in a situation like this where we're getting these storms producing a prolific amount of lightning.
And, you know, Mike, you were talking a little bit earlier about the curiosity seekers.
Yeah.
This is not that time to be going outside. You know, we don't often see type of weather like this in Connecticut. It's not an opportunity to run out there and check things out. This is an opportunity to stay put and hunker down.
Yeah, they see the storm chasers on TV and all that.
And then they think, right, it's
not, especially around here with all the trees around and everything. It's a lot more dangerous.
And even bad things happen to the professionals.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you just don't want to be dealing with that at all. So there you have it. Now that intense line, you know, this is blowing through fairly quickly. You know, if we kind of do a little bit of an estimate on our own, I would say that, you know, a lot of the severe weather threat is probably going to be over by around 7 o'clock this evening.
Yeah.
You know, off to the north and west of this line that's moving through Connecticut, you got sort of a general rain that's coming down pretty hard, and some lightning strikes too. But the main threat is from Enfield on it to Torrington, moving into Waterbury and Danbury as this is consolidated into a sort of a line. And we do have the active tornado warnings for southern Litchfield County, northern Fairfield County, and northwestern New Haven County. We'll review that for you, and you can see that that tornado warning expires at around 5:15. We'll have to wait and see on that to see if they'll let it go or extend it. And this particular tornado warning for southern Litchfield County is in effect until 5:30. So again, what do? You know, what are some of the telltale signs of a tornado? Sometimes you don't really know. But if a tornado warning is in effect for your area, I think, you know, even though it may affect one part of a town, a small part of a town, I think if your whole town is under the tornado warning, best to just seek shelter, you know, because we can't really pinpoint it exactly to the mile. You know, there is some leeway in everything that we're looking at here. So, you know, it's not exact. We can get pretty close with where these tornadoes potentially might be occurring. So if your town is under a warning, it's just a good idea to seek shelter and, you know, don't go near windows or glass or anything like that and seek shelter inside.
If you can, give that advice. I know I speak at a lot of schools and I ask the kids to raise their hands when they have, how many of you have basements? And, you know, 80 to 90% of the kids in the classroom have those basements that they can see cave into. But in the event that they're in that 10 to 20%, you know, let's talk about where the next safest place in your house is.
You know, if you, you know, in a closet, you know, some people have gone into...
You know, I tell them to go to the bathroom simply because the pipes, they're rooted into the ground in that bathroom, you know, and they can get in the tub, and that's also a safe haven to get to in the event that you don't have a basement.
Yeah, you know, you get into a bathtub and cover yourself with blankets, and, you know, that could offer a great deal of protection. Absolutely. All right, got some live pictures of Waterbury.
Wow, that's tough.
The storm is moving into your area as we speak.
Very, very heavy. And this is an area that actually is in that, I believe that's in that red polygon, Bruce. So this isn't an area that at least technically is in that tornado warning, as you see there.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
And you can see the very heavy rains ongoing. It could be windswept, and you can see the potential for hydroplanings there as well, because the rain comes down so heavily. You get that sheet of an inch or two of water on the roadway, and your tires just never make contact with the pavement if you're going fast. But when we take a look at radar, and you're looking at the full now, you can see coming into Middlebury and Waterbury, it looks really intense.
It does look very intense. Naugatuck, Prospect, Oxford, Bethany, you're all under the, you know, right in the line of this particular storm, and, you know, that's a tornado warning. If I am not mistaken, that whole area right there, Waterbury, Wolcott, Middlebury, Naugatuck, Oxford, Seymour, Bethany, Wallingford, Cheshire, even a portion of Meriden, you're under a tornado warning. And it's this cell right here that is the one that's a suspect. We'll take a look at some velocity to see if there's any shear.
Little bit,
yep,
right
absolutely.
Near Southbury. Yeah.
There's some rotation going on here, you know, toward and away from the radar site over a very, very tight area. So you can see here.
North of Oxford Center.
That's the area.
When I say north of Oxford, I'm just saying where that town name is. So, I mean, if it might be within the township there, so I'm not really sure.
Got Beacon Falls. But that white line right there is the delineation between wind blowing rain toward the radar site and wind blowing rain away from the radar site. So you can see what we call a couplet there, the green and red. And that's by flipping it into velocity mode. And that's one of the powerful things that Doppler radar can do, is that you can tell how things are being blown around in the atmosphere, how they are moving in relation to the radar site. And that's exactly what we're seeing there. And that's why the tornado warning is in effect. So we're going to put that back into the reflectivity mode, which shows you the intensity of the rain and potentially some hail. We'll go into the Barron button and see what we're dealing with here. And of course now I'm going to go into what we call a pixel query and see exactly what that means. So right there in that orange area, we're talking about winds that could be 100 miles an hour.
That's really incredible. Just noticing on our maps that just got highlighted portions of Middlesex County and portions of northern, so Middlesex County might be.
Yeah, it was just extended. You can see there's an extension of the tornado warning.
Okay.
So, you know, and where Bruce has highlighted that circulation from Naugatuck to Bethany to Seymour would be moving east into northern portions of Hamden and through Wallingford, Route 15. Also 91 is going to be impacted by this, maybe the southern portion of Cheshire too if it continues on its current track. Denise DeCenzo just said too that there's serious flooding going on with the northern portion of the storm through parts of Torrington. There's been reports of 8 inches of water pouring down the street. So when you have water at 8 inches rolling down the street, that can move things. So that's something that's why you first want to stay off the roads, but second, if you're there, you need to stay put and away from that moving water.
Okay, you can see that right there around Bristol and Burlington, there might be some 1.5-inch diameter hail. That's a pretty good size hail. All right, so these are some of the strongest wind speeds that we've been seeing with these particular storms. 100-mile-an-hour winds estimated right there near Bethany, whether it's a tornado or not. And you are under a tornado warning. Certainly that is going to produce quite a bit of damage to trees and power lines.
It certainly is. And again, this appears to be moving on generally an easterly direction. I'd suspect that the way the radar looks, if we have thrill seekers trying to find the funnel, if there is a funnel, we don't know if there's a funnel yet. It may be enshrouded in rain, especially when you look at this one. And so I wouldn't waste my time.
Nope.
I think what I would do is I would seek shelter, as you guys were talking about, especially when we're talking about shear to that level. I mean, to me, if you have 100-mile-an-hour shear, the radar is seeing something, and even if there isn't a tornado right now, when you have the radar seeing something like that, I think your chances are better that you might have something develop soon. And so, Oxford to Seymour to Bethany, then over to Hamden and Wallingford, and then into the Durham area too.
Yeah, this is the newer tornado warning. This one is in effect until 5:30. Tornado warning in effect for about the next 20 minutes, and that's for Hamden, Killingworth, Durham, Haddam, Moodus, East Haddam, Deep River, Essex. Those towns are all under a tornado warning until 5:30 this afternoon because of that suspicious cell that's producing the 100-mile-an-hour wind estimated right there near Oxford and Bethany.
Guys, at the projection of this path and it's moving at the speed that it is, when do you think people can we're gonna see an end to this? Do you think it'll wrap up after 7, 8 o'clock, or?
Yeah, judging on where the storms are now, Scott, here it is 5:11 in the afternoon. It's closing in on the greater Hartford area. It's closing in on New Haven. I would say that we're going to probably see these getting into the Tolland, Wyndham area, Moodus area by around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in eastern Connecticut, and I think by 7 or 8 o'clock this evening we should be pretty much out of the woods in terms of the tornado and severe thunderstorm
And some
threat.
of the emails are coming in. The viewers they want to know the difference between the yellow highlighted boxes and the red highlighted boxes.
It's a good question. Okay, the red highlighted boxes are where there's active tornado warnings in effect. Okay. That means that the conditions are either happening or they're imminent. That's the difference between a watch and a warning. Okay, a watch means it could happen. A warning means that it is happening or is imminent, and the yellow box means that it's a severe thunderstorm warning, which in itself is bad. Severe thunderstorms can produce quite a bit of wind damage, but you're taking it a notch higher when you're talking about a tornado warning. And we've had at least, what, 4 or 5, I would say, tornado warnings. Which
I think this is the 5th one.
Yeah, we've had quite a few, and it's been a situation that, it just looks so volatile today. These storms are coming through at the worst time of the day. A, it's the evening rush hour, and B, the sun came out after a cloudy morning, and you had a full afternoon of heating.
We cooked.
And the dew point temperatures rose into the to the 60s, and that's what's fueling all of this heavy rain associated with the thunderstorms.
Yeah, and one thing too is that one thing that has changed. I remember the days when warnings would be counties only, and you'd light up the whole county. Now we've been able to reduce the warnings to what we call these polygons, so where the National Weather Service has definitely narrowed and tailored the warnings to where the weather is more likely to happen. And so when we talk about the imminence of a tornado, even within that polygon, tornadoes are small. So, if we had one and it went through that area, it's certainly not going to cover all of that polygon either. So we want, a lot of people are like, well, it didn't happen in my neighborhood, but, there is still that uncertainty that within that polygon somewhere the tornado was possible.
Gentlemen, I have some good news for Connecticut, bad news news for New York. That tree with the car, they just made a correction and an update for location. It is actually in Orange County, just over the border in New Windsor. So correction for location. That tree on the car with people trapped is not here in Connecticut. It is in just over the border in Orange County in New York.
Okay. You know, it's it's a bad situation for a lot of people. You know, this batch of storms is affecting millions of people in the Northeast. Let's take a look at rainfall. One thing that we haven't really taken a look at so far, but I want to see how much rain has fallen.
And as you're seeing that too, there's rain. You know, we have a picture of the rain from Hartford. This is looking towards a very, very wet scene here, Bruce. So you know, this is how it looks. And then when we look on the radar, which is on your right, which was on the right, and when we go back to it, you'll see that we really picked up quite a bit.
Yeah, there's well, let's focus in on that area. I'm going to zoom in on this swath in northern Connecticut that's actually been hit by multiple storms, and the radar is estimating that there's actually been as much as 3.1 inches of rain.
I believe it.
Now, this is not measured rainfall. These are Doppler radar estimated rainfalls, but that is a lot of rain. That is like the amount of rain you would normally expect in nearly a month in just a matter of a couple of hours. And, you know, small streams, you know, creeks, if people are doing some camping near small creeks, those will react first. The larger rivers will react the least. But it certainly is putting a lot of water down on the roadways and making driving extremely hazardous.
And even when if you were to even parse that time out even more, you know, sometimes you're getting these rains that are, you'll get that ½ inch in 10 minutes, you know, or whatever, and that's when the streets become inundated, and then you get the flash flooding, and that's certainly a possibility where you see this intensity of rain working through just to the north of Hartford now. And it looks up Rockville area. Boy, that one in Rockville looks like it's probably got some hail with it.
Yeah, let's zoom in on that one. You know, I have to say, Mike, that I have not in a long, long time seen so many tornado warnings in the state of Connecticut.
I know.
It's been a long time. All right, we're going to go right up there into the Tolland area, and let's see what this particular storm is producing. There you can see likely hail, and we can see how big that is, 1-inch hail. Right now near I-84 in Vernon, potentially.
Pretty close to the mall.
½ inch size hail. So you're getting some fairly large hail over there. And in addition, of course, that's the reflectivity, how strong it is. We'll cancel that out, but no doubt that's producing some hail. And these ominous skies, this ominous storm is moving into Vernon right now. It's moving into Tolland, and it's going to be taking aim at the UConn campus and Storrs, Mansfield. Also in Eastford, we have a shower that's going on there right now. That looks like a pretty intense thunderstorm around Woodstock that in itself might even be producing some hail too, where you see the darker shades of purple. But in the greater Hartford area, this storm is moving in really fast. Let's see if we can get an iCam in Hartford one more time.
Either that, and we've got video too from Torrington where there had been some flooding, and you know, it's probably illustrative of why you may want to wait on commuting, because if you're still at the office and you haven't run home yet.
See, that person's doing exactly what you should not be doing. You know, again, you can stall your car out. That may not be a creek or anything, but you do not want to drive through flooded waters. That's one thing we always tell people not to do.
Because you just don't know how deep it is.
No.
Once you get that water over the roadway, you really have no way of knowing.
It may look like 6 inches, but it could be 2 feet, and it takes, what, about a foot of water to move a car if it's moving. All right, there's our iCam in Hartford.
Courtney Zeller reporting torrential downpours in downtown Hartford, where this camera is right now.
Okay, Courtney Zeller, as Dennis said, reporting heavy downpours in Hartford, where you're looking at the moment. It's coming in like gangbusters in Hartford. Meriden, just to the south of Hartford, portions of Meriden into Cheshire, Naugatuck, you're under the tornado warning. Right now, Hartford, you're getting the heavy rain, and you're under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. And there it is. That's Courtney's camera. Courtney Zeller, that's her camera, where the streets are wet, and it looks like the worst of the storm is still about to move into the capital city. And
this
we're
is
also
the Eastern Connecticut State University graduation going on right now in there.
Okay, indoors.
Indoors, yes.
Okay. Thank goodness. There you can see the rain coming down harder. I don't know if you heard Dennis, but Dennis, you did say Eastern Connecticut
State University graduation is being held at the XL Center tonight, and obviously it's raining outside, but inside it's going to be fine.
Perfect. Okay, good. That's the place to be, is indoors. So, Mike, you're showing some
I'm just looking at that Barron product again, just
Yes.
to see. This is the area that has a tornado warning on it. There has been some reduction in the intensity, according to this product, of the overall wind field that we've been looking at, which might be responsible for rotation, tornado development. So there has been some weakening of that, but there's still a warning here. Storms go through their cycles, and there's still a lot of warm, muggy air to feed into this thing and regenerate a stronger circulation than we're seeing now. But areas affected is between Wallingford and Meriden is where we're seeing that circulation right now. And it's essentially working over areas near Main Street, also towards Williams Road. This is all in Wallingford, North Farms Road, up towards South Meriden, Chimney Hill Road as examples. Of course, Route 15, Route 91, especially where they split in the East Meriden area. That is where we're seeing some of the circulation that could, at some point here, produce a tornado. I mean, there's a warning on this, so we're not seeing the strongest of circulation right now, but you always have to be very tentative and careful in saying that, because these things go through life cycles that only take minutes for them to completely change their character and once again strengthen and possibly create a tornado. This is even kind of meandering out of the actual warning up towards the central part of Meriden downtown, pretty close to 691. But overall, this is the area that we're watching, which is prompting the tornado warning. Of course, the tornado warning itself is this box that you see blinking here. I'm not the best drawer, sorry guys. But that area that you're seeing here, let me clear it and redo it, is the area that we're most interested in, because this is the area that's under the tornado warning, and this is the area, especially from here forward. See that blinking red box? So if you're in Durham, if you're in Haddam, if you're in Moodus, East Haddam, you're next with the circulation that will be coming pretty close to you. We can also look at something called velocity. Again, this is the radar actually taking a look at the particles in the air inside the thunderstorm, and the radar can see which direction they're moving. And that's important, because if you can see how these particles are moving, you can see what the wind's doing. And when you have these bright reds, that indicates that the wind is going away from the radar, and when you see the bright greens, it's going toward the radar. And so that means is you're seeing wind going in essentially the opposite direction of each other in very short order. So in fact, I'm drawing that the wrong way. Let me do it this way. This is the way it would go. Let's do that again. But the idea is that you're getting that really strong wind changing direction in a very small area, and that could indicate rotation in the storm. And what that might mean is that you could have at any time a tornado forming. So that's why we're most concerned about this area here. Now, as I said, there has been some weakening of this, but we are still watching it closely, because there's still that difference in wind that's going essentially right over Wallingford Center on North and South Colony Road, East Main Street, near Quinnipiac. You're seeing it on South Elm Street, on the Wilbur Cross Parkway, especially north of Hamden is what we're most interested in as far as where there might be a circulation that could create a tornado. And then, of course, along I-91 all the way through the stretch in Wallingford and down into Hamden, that would be next in line. And then after that, looking towards Durham and Middlefield, those areas too will probably have the circulation cross nearby. But you can see the tornado warning actually extends down to North Branford, to Killingworth, to Chester, to Essex, and over towards the Haddams as well, because these things, sometimes a tornado will spin up and then, south of the circulation or east of the circulation, another one will. So you kind of have to monitor a bigger area than maybe the tornado might cover.
Exactly. That's exactly right, because they're small, but they just affect a very small part of the town. We've had some reports. I'm going to kind of stop things here for just a moment. We've had reports of some interesting things going on in Brookfield, where there might have been a lot of damage in the Brookfield area, right there around the Danbury area.
Okay.
So there it is, Brookfield. Now, there may have been a storm that caused quite a bit of damage. That particular storm has moved off to the east of Brookfield, so...
Well, that's the same circulation we've been kind of tracking.
Yes, exactly. That's the same one.
So, and that's the one that's prompted the tornado warning that we've got ongoing now. We had just talked about, especially in the Wallingford area. You know, we're 91 and 15 split. Route 66 comes in there, and there's also, it's pretty close to Middletown, and I guess we have a live pick in Middletown, and it probably looks pretty ugly as you look in the direction towards the west. I don't know if we can get that live, but you know, it's going to get very, very ugly pretty soon with at least heavy rains, not some gusty wind, frequent lightning. There's already lightning strikes out ahead of this. You can see, here's what we're talking about. It's not raining yet, and there's a lightning strike there right near I-91. There's the picture of Middletown. It's starting to rain there. You can see some of those echoes, but that's a lighter rain. It's going to pour, I'd say, in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
I was actually in Middletown today getting a stress test, and I would say that this...
Good choice of day.
This is putting us through a little bit of stress right now. This
Are
is
you
a real
going back
test,
after?
No, I am not, but
we'll keep our
everything
eye on you.
checked out okay. All right, wow, Middletown is getting it. Rocky Hill, the rain is coming down really hard now.
They want us to focus our attention on Oxford, Connecticut.
On Oxford, okay.
See what's going on there.
Well, Oxford, the storm has already moved through. It wasn't under the warning.
Okay.
But the warning is now since ended.
Has something happened there?
No, they're just saying that there might be, you know, again, there might have been tornadic activity in that part.
Okay.
Well, that was in the warning, you know, and this is the thing about these is it's kind of like you don't know until after the fact, or somebody sends in a picture, or you know. But what we do have is the radar, and the radar has been an extremely useful tool today. That's for sure.
Look at how this has evolved into a solid line of severe thunderstorms. Every part of the state, from north to south, along and in advance of that line, is under either a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning right now.
You know, it's really incredible Futurecast. You know, I stopped it every 15 minutes this morning, and I showed 5, 5:15, 5:30, 6, 5:45, 6, right on. I mean, it's really right on the money how well Futurecast handled this, and now all of these storms just moving through the state.
Well, it knows the physics, and if the physics all come together, yeah, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, let's take a look at Futurecast. Of course, this is going back to 4 p.m., but you know, Futurecast is saying that, you know, we'll kind of backtrack it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, there's 6:45, where we're still getting heavy rain in central Connecticut. That actually might be a little bit slow. But
well, I think, you know, what this may be picking up on is that it's got that whole structure. You know, it's got the cold pool rain in the back.
That's
and
true.
Like this has, and it may be just calling, because it's a moderate to heavy rain embedded in there. It might be seeing that. So I'm just wondering if that's what it's seeing.
That's probably what it's seeing. As far as any severe threat is over by 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Interesting to note, it looks that they have dropped the tornado watch for Litchfield County.
As they I mean, it's in a stable, what they call the cold pool rain. So sometimes what happens with these thunderstorm complexes is you get this really horrible line, and then there's behind it you get this big blob of rain, and it can rain for several more hours after the horrible thunderstorms have moved through, and that's common with you know, really bad weather events like this one.
I don't know if people can hear it.
Yeah,
the viewers.
Can hear you can literally hear the rain, and that sounds like hail to me.
That sounds like hail. You know what?
Dropping hail.
This is Rocky Hill.
That's Rocky Hill right there.
Right outside our vantage point.
The rain, that is hail. That is hail.
Okay. Can someone move my car?
Yeah, I know.
Finally paid for it, now it's going to get wrecked.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody left their window open, because I'm sure that rain is blowing around too. Well, let's take a look at Rocky Hill. Let's zoom in on that area. Go into the Hartford metro area, and well, you know, Rocky Hill, the heavy rain is still coming on in. So there you have it. Hartford is getting hit pretty hard too.
Oh yeah, downtown.
Very hard. In Farmington and Southington, you're getting the heavy rain. All the way up to the northeast, you know, up into Tolland. This storm is just fashioned itself into a line that in some places bows to the east, and in some places it does not, but going all the way to New Britain, Southington, southward into Cheshire, Hamden, Ansonia, Shelton, Trumbull, Stratford, Bridgeport. That's why I say this is a widespread severe weather event that's going underway.
Sort of weak echo area in that storm near Wallingford. I'm just kind of curious what that's looking like, because that's where the tornado warning is. You know, and I'm just wondering what's going on there.
Let's take a look at some velocities, and you can see that there is a couplet right there to the east.
Just east of Wallingford right now.
Right into a Durham. That's right in the tornado warning area. Durham, Middlefield. You can see again where it goes from green to red, that's a switch in the wind. and a very rapid switch. So, you know, Haddam, you know, that's heading your way. Moodus, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Chester as well, East Haddam. So this storm is moving quickly in your direction. Go back to the reflectivity mode. And what we mean by that is it simply is showing where the rain is and how heavy. And of course, we got lightning tracker attached to this as well. One of the biggest dangers we face from any thunderstorm is the lightning. So you can see that we're getting a lot of lightning strikes. We're only measuring here cloud to ground lightning strikes, what we're really concerned with.
Guys, we're getting reports out of Candlewood Lake, which I know has been a really problematic area. Trees down near Candlewood Lake and Squan's Pond near the Sherman line. Estimated wind speeds at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, we have seen the estimated winds at being up there around 80, even 100 miles an hour in some parts of the state. Okay, let's kind of look around for some of those heavy winds. And, you know, right there, we're seeing some pretty gusty winds approaching Middletown. What exactly does that mean? Well, that shifted off to the east or just completely disappeared with the radar update.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Let's wind out that shot. Let's check out the Middletown camera. Well, it certainly is raining extremely hard in Middletown at the moment. New Britain as well, Wallingford. That rain is coming down very hard. And again, it's a dangerous time to be out on the roadways. Not only is there a lot of water on the road, but it's hard to see, you know, especially with trucks kicking up moisture and all that spray.
Absolutely.
It's very tough to see. So we discourage driving. You know, the Hartford area, I would say, is going to be pretty much into the cooler rain, but out of the severe threat by around, say, 6 o'clock. This evening. Probably the same thing with New Haven, New Britain too.
And the Metro line is suspended service from New Haven.
Metro North.
Okay.
Metro North, yeah.
This is having a wide impact not only on trains but also on, you know, our ability to drive. Bradley International Airport.
Trains, planes, automobiles.
And automobiles, yes, there you go. All right, so again, we do have an active severe tornado warning. A lot of the state is under a severe thunderstorm warning, but we have an active tornado warning. I'm going to focus in on that one more time.
It's now really Middlesex County now.
Yeah.
That seems to be the
definitely Middlesex County. And
there seems to be some weakening, and as these storms get closer to the water, you know, the coldness of the water, once they start to draw that in, hopefully, just hopefully, they'll tone down a bit. But you know, if you have shear or moving wind in different directions, you just have it, and sometimes it'll happen anyway.
So as far as Moodus is concerned, this is rapidly closing on you, Salem, Chester, Deep River, Essex, Basra. So this is starting to make its way toward eastern Connecticut, where some parts of that, our state there, are under a severe thunderstorm warning.
I think the tornado warning, it disappeared. What time is it?
Might have been let go. 5:30.
It's 5:30.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so a little bit of good news there.
Yeah.
But we still got this massive line of thunderstorms moving right across the state, and you know, a tornado warning could come out once again at any minute.
You know where I saw with the Barron product, it was some pretty strong wind up in northeastern Connecticut. You know, when you had the Barron button on, at least the last time I saw some shear. I don't know if it's still there. So there's some indication that Woodstock and Ashford, Eastford, they could at least be transported down some gusty wind with the leading edge to some of this. And you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. And there had been talk of wind up to 75 miles an hour, and that's certainly possible, especially as these storms are let in here.
Okay, Metro North suspending service on the Hudson, Harlem, and New Haven lines during the stormy period. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Denise.
Yeah, definitely.
Keeping us informed.
Neatest handwriting ever, by the way.
I know, it's so easy. Even without glasses, I could read Denise's
in all
handwriting.
caps, no less. That takes work.
Okay, so you know what? Now that the tornado warning has expired, we can go to Eyewitness News at 5:30 with the understanding that if another tornado warning goes in effect, we're going to be right back on here with nonstop coverage. Of course, we got a lot of weather coverage for 5:30 as well. All right, so that's it for now. The tornado warnings have expired. More could come, so we'll go to Eyewitness News at 5:30.
Live from WFSB, Connecticut's #1 local news. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5:30.
We are in a weather alert tonight at 5:30. Severe storms coming through the state right now with damaging winds and hail.
And as we look live through the early warning weather tracker, we'll see that in just a few seconds. Rain is coming down there as well in Litchfield County. Good evening and thanks for joining us at 5:30. I'm Denise DeCenzo.
Hi everybody, I'm Mark Zinni. It's been a crazy afternoon, but we've been with you and we're on top of this. The storm is certainly packing a punch. Let's take a look at the outages perhaps from Eversource right now. Nearly 32,000 customers without power, obviously in one half of the state right now, with more than 4,000 outages in Winchester alone.
Let's head right over to the Early Warning Weather Center for the very latest information where we stand right now. Bruce and Mike.
Well, a little bit of good news is right now we do not have an active tornado warning. More could occur. We are watching that. The tornado watch has been canceled for Litchfield County because now they're on the backside of the bad weather in the colder rain. So let's take a look at the latest weather alerts. We are under a tornado watch for Hartford, Town, and Windham counties until 9 p.m. and a severe thunderstorm watch for all of southern Connecticut until 11 o'clock this evening. And Mike, we still got a very intense line of storms moving across the estate now.
I think Hartford is out of it now, at least the most intense. I mean, it's still raining terribly and you'll still have some lightning strikes, but the most intense activity is just to the east of Hartford at this point. We're seeing that band of very heavy, rain, the potential for a little bit of hail and gusty wind too. East Hampton, Haddam, Moodus, and then working southward towards North Branford, and then as we look towards West Haven, and you can see offshore, we're seeing that. New Haven, it looks like it may be raining heavily now, but a few minutes it's going to go away. And with this also, the strong wind as well is definitely a high likelihood, especially in the leading edge of this stuff. It's moving to the east at about 40 miles an hour or so. So let's give you a timestamp on some of the towns yet to see this. Putnam, Thompson, Lebanon, Scotland, of course Essex, you're in it. As we look towards Windham, very soon, Willimantic, it's just starting to rain. It's really going to start to rain much more heavily. Colchester, you're going to see this soon. Norwich, Montville, and then of course Bruce is just going to continue on. And we have seen reports of large hail, but also the strong wind concern is there as well. We've had a few reports of that, some trees down in areas. So this has really ground truth.
Exactly. We've had winds that were estimated by Doppler radar to be as high as 75, 80, even 100 miles an hour. At one point in time, we've had a number of tornado warnings that occurred in the state. And it's just been a very active afternoon. We've even had reports of 3 inches of rain or more, according to Doppler radar, in portions of northern Connecticut, which is putting down almost a month's worth of rain in just a matter of a couple of hours.
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking about a dangerous situation with the flash flooding still, I'd say, along I-395 and Route 2 as well.
So the severe threat, you know, I know the warning of the watch is going into effect until, you know, they're still in effect until 11 and 9 o'clock, but, you know, just eyeballing this, you could see the most intense line is kind of moving into central and southeastern Connecticut. I would say that we're pretty much going to be done with the severe threat, not necessarily the rain, by around 7, maybe as late as 8 o'clock.
Yep.
So give it another couple of hours and we should be okay. But in the meantime, we have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for the state, and we still cannot rule out an additional tornado warning. Of course, we'll be back with your 7-day forecast coming up in the main weather segment.
All right, guys, we will see both of you coming up again in a few minutes. Thank you. Our team coverage continues at 5:30 as heavy rain makes its way across the state. We want to head right now to the capital city. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Courtney Zeller joins us live in downtown Hartford. Obviously, Courtney, the rain is coming down there right now, too.
Yeah, you know, Mark, torrential downpours just a few minutes ago. It's lightened up a little bit. I mean, it's still raining out here, but definitely not as bad as it was maybe about 10 minutes ago. But we're right outside the XL Center here in downtown Hartford. Over 1,000 students from Eastern Connecticut State University are graduating today. Very exciting for them. I know a lot of people have been here early, so they dodged the rain. But there are some stragglers, and they are getting wet. All right, let's go to that video we shot from earlier today. What a beautiful day it was at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock this afternoon. We saw a ton of people walking, running, sitting on park benches, enjoying the sun and the heat earlier today. Near perfect weather, I thought. This is my kind of weather, 80 degrees. Hard to believe how quickly the weather can change. Here's what one person had to say about it.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Cool it down a little bit.
You want it to cool down?
Yes. Yes, I don't like the heat.
Well, it's cool now, that's for sure. All right, the Yard Goats, they're expected to play at 7:05 today. I've been following them on social media, and they say that the game is still on. So as of right now, that Yard Goats game is still on in downtown Hartford. We'll see you at 6 o'clock with another weather update here in the capital city. For now, we're live at the mobile newsroom in Hartford. Courtney Zeller, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Courtney. And as we get a look at our iCam in Torrington tonight, our weather alert coverage continues. Of course, our team of meteorologists is tracking the latest conditions out there to keep you safe.
And a quick reminder right now, if your power goes out, stay with Channel 3 for updates and download the Channel 3 app. You can also follow us on Facebook. I know Scott has been posting videos all afternoon. Our entire weather team has, so we have you covered no matter where you are. But if your phone is charged, you can watch online anytime.
It is a huge cultural phenomenon.
The game your child can't get enough of.
I thought it was bad until I actually started learning more about the game.
Why experts are encouraging families to get involved. Tonight at 11 on Eyewitness News.
Create your perfect space with patio enclosures. Right now, receive free sunroom installation up to a $5,600 value. Plus, enjoy no interest for 2 years. Call today.
Patio enclosures.
It's your New England Ford dealers Memorial Day sales event with incredible deals on America's best-selling brand. Save big with low financing plus just announced Memorial Day bonus cash. And military and first responders get an additional $750 appreciation cash, but only